Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Josh Strife Hayes, and in this video I'm going to break down and explain the process of leveling from 1 through to max level in TERA. This video is designed for people who haven't taken a character through to max level before, and will explain the basic mechanics you'll face, items you'll find, and every confusing thing in the leveling process from start to finish. TERA is an online game and is constantly receiving updates and patches. Because of this, I won't be talking about specific dungeons or items you'll need, as these will likely change with time. Instead, I'll focus on the processes which will remain, such as general dungeon queuing and Vanguard requests. This guide will be focusing on the PC version of the game, but Xbox and PlayStation 4 players should still find lots of useful info that will transfer over to the console. Right, there's a lot to discuss, so let's go. Before you even start playing, you need to know that on PC there are multiple versions of TERA, all essentially the same game, but each version cannot play with any other version, and the default version you get will depend on where in the world you physically are. You can, however, download any version manually by going directly to the correct site. The two most popular versions for English-speaking players are TERA En Masse for the North American version, and TERA Gameforge for the European version. There are also Russian, Korean and Southeast Asian servers, but we'll focus on the two above. If you're based in North America and want to get the best ping, or response time, download the En Masse version. If you're based in Europe, download the Gameforge version. If you play TERA through Steam, you'll be defaulted to one of these two versions, but you can always manually download the game from either website. I play on the European version, and many of my North American friends do too. Choose the version with the correct balance of players, friends, and acceptable ping for you. There are small differences, but they're not extreme enough to worry about yet. Once you're playing, choose a server and create your character. Don't worry about which race you choose. For your first character, just choose what you like. There are sometimes small advantages, such as very slightly faster animations or slightly better crafting, but unless you're aiming to be the top 1% of the top 1%, these won't matter to you right now. Just pick what you like. Every class is viable at endgame, so no matter what you pick, you won't be left behind. Once you've created your character, you'll be dropped into the tutorial section of the game. This tutorial changes every now and then, so I can't tell you exactly what you'll face, but each section is designed to show you the basics, including movement, combat, chaining skills, collecting items, combining items in your inventory, and equipping armor and weapons. Just play the tutorial through and follow the simple steps. You won't get lost, it's very straightforward. To make sure you don't get lost, you've got two types of map to use. Your mini-map in the top right, which will show local enemies or skill nodes, and your transparent overlay map, which will show you all the major roads and paths, dungeons, towns, and locations of quest enemies. We'll talk about this more later on. Once you've left the tutorial and arrived in the first main city of Velica, your journey to endgame starts. This can feel overwhelming, so I'm going to break down everything into really simple steps and go over it all. Here we go. The current max level in TERA is 65, but we're waiting on the update which takes us to 70. I'm sure years down the line it'll get even higher, but don't worry. No matter what the number is, the process of getting there will remain more or less the same. Gathering experience. Your experience is shown on this bar here at the bottom of the screen. Hover your cursor over this bar to see how much experience you have and how much you still need here. It's annoying that these numbers are so massive, it's almost impossible to work out the maths in your head, so just use the bar as a percent meter. There are 5 major ways to earn experience in TERA. 1. Grinding mobs. Just walk up to a group of enemies and kill them. 2. Grinding BAMs or BAMs. BAM stands for Big Ass Monster. Seriously, that's actually what it stands for, and they're all over the world. You can tell it's a BAM because on your minimap, it'll have a different shape to a regular enemy. See that large red diamond just there? That represents this, and that is a big-ass monster. Number 3. Vanguard requests. These are your repeatable quests. They require you to kill a certain amount of enemies or collect a certain amount of stuff. You can press H to open the Vanguard request menu and see what is available for you to do. Number 4. Story quests. Progress through the actual storyline of TERA is one of the best ways for a newer player to slowly learn all the mechanics. And finally, number 5. Dungeons. Once you hit level 20, you'll be able to queue for dungeons, the fastest way to gain experience and gear up. These methods have been listed from worst to best. Grinding regular mobs is way too slow. Grinding BAMs can be good, but gets boring quickly. So let's talk about the other 3. Quick side note, you won't get any experience if you focus on content that you've greatly overleveled, so always focus on stuff around your current level. Both Vanguard requests and story quests are considered quests. Press L to open your quest log and see what you can do. Your quest log is broken down into several tabs, keeping things such as story, zone, and daily quests separate. You'll become more accustomed with this over time. For now, we need to look at your active quest list. All active quests will appear on the right-hand side of your screen here. If you ever get confused about what you're meant to do on any active quest, press Alt to activate the mouse cursor and click on the quest you're trying to do. Then follow the info on screen. Quest info will explain everything. Sometimes you'll even see NPC names in blue. These can be clicked on like a hyperlink and it'll show you where in the world they are. Vanguard requests. Vanguard requests are repeatable quests that reward a large chunk of experience and items after completion. They are green quests and use green ? And ! Symbols. They also show up in your quest tracker as green, so you can easily tell them apart from story or dungeon quests. Press H to open your Vanguard request menu. You'll see these little tick boxes at the top, sorting the requests into various categories. Until you're familiar with this, leave it on recommended. The requests show what you need to do, what you'll get if you complete it, and even has the very helpful function of teleporting you directly to where you need to be for maximum efficiency. Once you start a Vanguard request by killing the first enemy or gathering the first item, your overlay map will suddenly light up with these patches of colour and have a number in each patch. These numbers refer to your quest tracker on the right-hand side of the screen. Each quest you're currently on, be that story, Vanguard request, or dungeon, will have a number, and each number will be shown on your overlay map. If quest number 1 requires enemies to be killed, then your map will have these blotches of light with a number 1 in them, guiding you to exactly where you need to be. This makes it really easy to see where you need to go to complete any given quest. If you're working on a Vanguard request and you've used the map to know you're in the right area, you'll see a green exclamation mark next to the enemy you're meant to kill or resource you're meant to collect. This shows you this enemy or resource is part of a Vanguard request and is worth killing or collecting. Once the request has been completed, you'll receive an on-screen notification. Open your Vanguard request menu by pressing the H, then click Complete. You'll gain the experience, and any item rewards will go directly into your inventory. Number 2. Story quests. Story quests often give more experience than Vanguard requests and actually advance the plot. They're easy to spot because they're orange. Orange ? For the quest start and mid-quest waypoints, and orange exclamation mark over enemies' heads or resources you need to collect to advance the quest. Once a story quest has been completed, you'll need to hand it in to the NPC with the orange star floating above their head. You can access the story quests through the Vanguard request menu, accessed by pressing the H key. Or you can open your map by pressing M. Use right-click to zoom out until you can see the whole world, and look for the orange question mark or star and head there. We'll talk about transport and getting around later on. Story quests will quickly move you from one place to another and should be your main focus when leveling up for the first time. They're very well paced to give you just as much experience as you need to progress at a constant rate. If you follow them through, you won't need to grind much, if at all, between story quests. Remember, you can open your quest log by pressing L to check your progress. Number 3. Dungeons. These are the fastest way to gain experience and items, but more importantly, contain some of the most fun combat you'll ever experience in any MMORPG. TERA is famous for its dungeons, and the intense, mechanically demanding fights you'll face later are genuinely breathtaking. While leveling, dungeons are much easier. On the journey from 1 to max level, you won't even need a specific team build. Any mix of healer, tank, and DPS could complete any of the leveling dungeons. A perfect team would make it easier, but it's not essential. Once you reach level 20, you'll unlock access to the first dungeon, the Bastion of Lok. The simplest way to queue for a dungeon is to press Alt to allow the cursor to appear, and click this magnifying glass up here, and choose Instance Matching. This will bring up a list of all instances, which are the dungeons, you'll be able to queue for. Under each instance, you'll also be able to see the rewards that you could find there. Click the little circle on the left for each one you would like to queue up for, then click Find Group. Once you're more experienced and feel you're able to lead the group, click this little box down here, Able to Lead Party. Leaders may get into groups faster, but you'll also be expected to explain the mechanics of the fight. Once the dungeon group is complete, you'll be given an on-screen prompt asking if you're ready to go there now. Access the cursor by pressing Alt and click Enter Now. If for any reason you lose this little box, maybe because you're flying when it pops up, you can bring it back up by accessing the cursor, clicking Instance Matching again from the magnifying glass menu. Once you're inside a dungeon, there may be an NPC with a quest for you. Always talk to them and always accept the quest. It'll be bonus XP when you kill the final boss. Completing a dungeon almost always counts as a Vanguard request as well, so remember to press H and accept any Vanguard requests you happen to complete by completing the dungeon. That's pretty much the basics of gaining experience. So now you know how to gain it, let's talk about what will happen as you level up. Every time you level up, you'll get this cool wing graphic. And every other level you gain, you'll also get this little plus symbol on your screen. Click it and you'll be taken to the Skills menu. You can also access this menu by pressing the K key. Your skills list is broken down into 3 tabs: Active, Passive, and Ride. You won't need to worry about passive as these are always helping you, and Ride is all about mounts, which we'll cover later. Let's focus on the Active tab. Your attacks in TERA are your skills. You'll start with a skill assigned to your left click, right click, and C button. Then as you get them, new skills will be added to this hotbar down here. All these boxes are assigned to a keyboard key, and all of them can be remapped to suit you however you like. Open the Options menu by pressing O, then go to Shortcuts. I've remapped the hotbar to look like this. It's whatever you're used to. As you level up, you'll gain access to new skills, but you won't own them instantly. You'll have to buy them. They cost a small amount of gold, but if you've been picking up all your coin drops and completing quests, you'll have more than enough to buy every new skill as it becomes available. Always buy every skill you can as you level up. There is no point in waiting. Sometimes when you level up, you won't unlock any new skills, but you will be able to buy better versions of your current skills. Again, always do this. There's no point in waiting. You can then click and drag the skill icon from the skills menu onto your hotbar and place it wherever you like. If you hover your mouse over the skill, you'll get a tooltip pop-up about exactly what the skill does, its cost, and any additional effects. I'm not going to go over every skill in this guide, just experiment and see what happens. Along with skills, you'll also unlock glyphs. A glyph is a small upgrade that can be applied to a skill. Some skills have multiple glyphs available, some have none. Each glyph, once unlocked, requires a certain amount of glyph points to have active. You can see your total glyph points down here to the left of the chained skills menu button. We'll talk about chained skills next. You cannot activate more glyphs than you can afford, so picking and choosing wisely is key. There's no point activating glyphs on skills you never use. Until you're familiar with this system and with your class, just click the recommended glyphs button here. It'll give you the best setup for your current level. You can reset the glyphs at any time. There's no cost to doing this, so feel free to play around. You can also have up to 5 sets of glyphs you can swap between freely anytime you're not in combat. Talking about combat, you've probably noticed the chained skills by now. This is a unique combat style that TERA is well known for, and it makes fights both consistent and flashy. It's a system that allows even the most average of player to feel useful, while leaving a large amount of room for expert players to pull off some fantastic combos. Put simply, each attack in TERA, if it lands, can be linked to another attack, which you can immediately perform by pressing the spacebar. Some attacks actually require another attack to be performed previously. Some attacks can only be performed when chained into. While this can lead to the joke that many classes are press spacebar to win, it's a great system to ease you into combat, but once you're familiar with your attacks and your keybinds, you can pull off some truly stunning combat tricks. The game has preset chained skills, and for most beginners these are perfectly suitable. If you want to set up your own chains, press K to open your skills menu and click Chained Skills. The trigger skill is the first skill you need to perform to start the chain, and the chained skill is what will be performed when you press the spacebar. The display time is how long you'd like the spacebar prompt to remain on screen for. You can chain as many skills together as you like, but remember you'll only be able to perform a skill that isn't on cooldown and you have the resources, such as mana, to perform it. This is a great system. Play around with it. So you've leveled up, got new skills, added the glyphs, you're completing quests. What about weapons and armor? Thankfully, TERA has a fantastic system to make sure you are always geared up and ready to go. Let's look at weapons first. Your weapon is your main source of DPS, and you should always use the best available. You'll get given weapons from story quests or from dungeon bosses, and these will be great, but what you really want are the avatar weapons. Press I to open your inventory, and you'll see this little box to the left of this, showing your progress toward the next avatar weapon. Avatar weapons are extremely powerful, and are created from relic pieces that will drop from the enemies as you just play. You won't be able to miss a relic piece drop. They have this super bright beam of light that shoots up into the sky. When you see a relic piece, pick it up. Once you've picked up enough to create the avatar weapon, open your inventory and click Acquire Weapon. This will be the only weapon you'll need until you find the next avatar weapon. Avatar weapons require enchanting to reach their full potential. We'll talk about enchanting after we talk about armor. So you've got an avatar weapon, you're blitzing through dungeons or Vanguard requests or story. What about your armor? Well, you could gather armor pieces slowly through dungeons and quest drops, or take advantage of the ultra-smooth armor gathering system TERA has built in to its Vanguard requests and dungeons. As you've been finishing Vanguard requests, you will be gaining these tokens with Roman numerals before them. These tokens can be exchanged for items and armor for a specific level. All you have to do is right-click on the token and the shop will pop up. You can then right-click on which piece you want to buy them, and they'll go straight into your inventory. Items you can't use will appear with the color drained out of them. If an item has a question mark on it, it's known as enigmatic. An enigmatic item has several magical properties that won't be discovered until you buy it. So buy the item, open your inventory by pressing I, and right-click on it. You'll see this little menu pop up on the left with +3, +6, and +9. These numbers refer to the enchantment level of the item, and effectively mean, at +3 enchantment, this item will also do this. Click the change box by all three numbers, and you can select which property you'd like the item to gain. This is more of a late game system, as right now you won't be enchanting your armor, and you'll be progressing through items so quickly you won't really see a benefit. Don't worry about this system too much. I'll explain it in much greater detail in the endgame video. For now, just pick whatever you like the sound of, equip the item once you've confirmed the effects, then get back to killing stuff. Using these tokens guarantees you'll always be armored up and relevant to any content. Once you've out-leveled a token and are receiving the next level of token, throw the old ones away. You won't need them anymore. Once you've equipped an avatar weapon and level-appropriate armor, it's time to consider enchanting some stuff. While leveling, you won't need to worry about enchanting your armor, because you'll find new armor so quickly it'd be wasted time and resources to enchant it, so we won't bother. Enchanting your weapon, however, is important. It'll maximize your DPS and help you complete everything so much faster. To enchant an item, unequip it so it's in your inventory, and then from your inventory, click this little enchanting menu button here that looks like an arrow pointing up. While the enchanting window is open, only the items that can be enchanted will be shown in color. This makes them easier to spot. Right-click on the item or drag the item you want to enchant into this square. In this case, we'll be using our avatar weapon. Enchanting anything is the process of raising its level and power. Doing this requires certain ingredients, or reagents. Remember that feedstock and alkahest you've been picking up from absolutely everywhere? This is where you need it. You'll see the enchanting materials required listed below, along with a count of how many you have of them, and any gold cost will also be displayed. You'll be able to see here how the item's stats will change if the enchant is successful. Down here, you'll see what is probably the most important number, the % chance of success. If you fail an enchant, the item won't break, but you will lose the reagents and gold that you spent on the attempt. TERA does have a nice system for failure, however. Every time you fail to enchant an item, you will gain a permanent increased % chance for the next attempt. If you fail again, you will gain another. We call these fail stacks. You keep gaining small boosts until you succeed. Then the % chance will reset down to whatever it should be for the next attempt. This means that while failure can be frustrating, you're always gaining small advantages every time you fail. Avatar weapons can be upgraded to +9, and it's always worth doing. If you find you're running out of alkahest or feedstock, complete some Vanguard requests, or run some dungeons. Now we've got decent weapons and armour, let's talk about crystals. Press P to open your player character sheet, and you'll see everything you have equipped. Down here, you'll see your stats. And if you look to the left of your weapon and to the right of your armour, you'll see slots for crystals. Crystals are physical items you add to your weapons, armour, and at much higher levels, jewellery, that give you bonus stats. You'll receive crystals as a reward for levelling up, completing quests, or as drops from enemies. You can tell the level of a crystal and what it does by hovering your cursor over it. Some crystals can only be equipped into weapons or armour of a certain level, so equipping the best items you can is important. In general, attack crystals are red and often cannot be stacked multiple times, meaning you can have one of each kind, and defense crystals are blue and often can be stacked. The exact crystals you will need depend on your class, and you won't really need to optimize these until you hit the end game. Just put the best you have in and try not to die, because every time you die, there is a chance that any crystal you have equipped will be destroyed. You can prevent this by using a scroll of complete crystal bind or by being a TERA Club member, called VIP in the North American version, which gives you the constant complete crystal bind passive buff. Remember, you'll find crystals from boss drops or from the gift packages the game showers you with as you level up, or completing Vanguard requests. That's probably a good time to talk about in-game mail. Access your mouse cursor and click the little speech bubbles. This is the social drop-down menu. You'll use it mainly for accessing your parcel post. Click parcel post and you'll see everything the game or other players have sent you, or you have sent them. Mail with items attached will have this little box icon that looks like a present, and mail you've already opened will have the open box. To accept items, click the mail, then click accept. It'll ask you to confirm, and then put everything straight into your inventory. Your mail can get full, so delete old messages to make space. So you've got your quests, be they story, Vanguard, or dungeon. You've got your avatar weapon and level-specific armour, and you've enchanted your weapon up to +9. You've got crystals in all the free crystal slots, you've checked your parcel post, and you've got your skills and glyphs set up. You are ready to explore the world. But how should you get around? Well, TERA has several ways to travel. You can walk or run, which takes ages but is always reliable, or you can mount up. You'll get your first mount when you arrive in Velica if you follow the story quest. The mounts you have are listed in the Ride tab of your skills window, accessed by pressing K. Click and drag the mount you want to an empty hotbar space, press that key, and you'll instantly mount up. If you're moving on a mount and press spacebar, the mount will jump. If you're staying still and press spacebar, the mount will perform a short animation, which is different for each style of mount. Some mounts fly. You'll gain a free flying mount at the endgame, or you can access the Spectral Tail Ghost Wolf by being in the TERA Club, VIP in North America. To start flying, start moving, press spacebar to jump, then press space again while you're in the air. Spacebar causes you to rise, and you can freely fly around. Each map has a height limit, and you can only fly for so long, shown by this flight meter here. If you're pressing W to move forward, hold Shift for a speed boost, greatly increasing your speed, but draining your flight meter a lot faster. You won't need to worry about this now, but at the end game, there are actually Guardian missions that involve flying after giant enemies and shooting them down, which is awesome. If you're in a major town like Velica and need to get around fast, you can use the inter-town teleporters. Look for the teleporter icon on the map, interact with the teleporter, and click where you want to go. That's pretty simple. For longer distance travel, however, you'll need a Pegasus station. These can be found in all the major towns and allow you to fly to other major points. Talk to the flight master and pay for wherever you want to go to. Smaller towns and outposts won't always have a Pegasus flight master, so you'll need to mount up and ride back to the bigger cities. If you're a TERA Club member, or you're lucky enough to have a village atlas, you can instantly teleport to any major or medium-sized town from anywhere. This can save so much time, but if it's your first time going somewhere, I'd really recommend you take a Pegasus from Velica, because the ride into a new place is always breathtaking. Some items, like the TERA Club membership boost or the XP boosting items, will increase the amount of experience you gain. This is great when leveling alts, or alternative characters, but not always highly recommended for your first playthrough. Sometimes it's better to go a little slower, but really understand how your character and class work. And that's the basics. Mobs, big-ass monsters, Vanguard requests, story quests, dungeons, avatar weapons, token armor, enchanting, crystals, mounts, teleporters, flight masters, chain skills, parcel post. You now know all the foundation knowledge to make it to max level, be that 65, 70, or beyond. Once you hit the level cap, TERA becomes a completely different creature. You'll need to worry about enchanting your armor, upgrading your items, learning the endgame dungeon mechanics, guardian missions, but don't worry, I'll cover all of that in my endgame guide. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found something useful here. If you have any questions or feedback, I'm normally streaming nightly on Twitch at twitch.tv/Josh Strife Hayes. Leave a comment below if you want to. I try and read and respond to absolutely everything. Enjoy your time in TERA, and hopefully I'll see you in game sometime. Take care.